Have you ever sent a message and waited for hours, maybe even days, hoping for a reply that never came? Or walked into a room where everyone seemed to notice each other, except you? Perhaps someone you deeply cared about slowly stopped calling, stopped texting, or acted as if you no longer existed. Moments like these can leave invisible scars. They make you question your value, your confidence, and sometimes even your identity. The silence of being ignored often hurts more than harsh words, because it whispers a dangerous lie. Maybe I'm not enough. But what if that feeling is built on a false belief? The Stoics saw rejection and indifference very differently. They believed that your worth is never determined by the attention you receive from others. Marcus Aurelius, despite being one of the most powerful men in history, constantly reminded himself that public opinion changes like the wind. The same people who praise you today may criticize you tomorrow. If your peace depends on their approval, then your happiness will always remain outside your control. Today's world encourages the opposite mindset. Social media measures popularity through likes, views, followers, and comments. Many people unknowingly begin to measure their self-worth using those same numbers. When attention disappears, confidence disappears with it. But the Stoics warned us about this trap over 2,000 years ago. They understood that depending on external validation is like building your house on sand. The moment the tide changes, everything begins to collapse. Imagine a mountain standing through every season. In summer, people admire its beauty. In winter, they avoid it completely. Yet the mountain never changes because of who is watching. It remains strong whether it is praised or ignored. That is exactly how Stoicism teaches us to live. Your character should never depend on the audience. Throughout this video, you'll learn 7 powerful Stoic lessons that will completely change the way you respond when people ignore you. Instead of feeling rejected, you'll begin to see these moments as opportunities to grow stronger, wiser, and emotionally free. Because sometimes, the greatest gift life gives you is removing the need to be noticed. One of the most painful mistakes people make is chasing those who have already decided to leave. We send another message. We make another phone call. We explain ourselves again and again, hoping that one more effort will change someone's mind. But every unanswered attempt slowly damages our self-respect. Epictetus taught that peace begins when you stop trying to control what was never yours to control. You cannot force someone to value you. You cannot make another person appreciate your kindness, your loyalty, or your love. The harder you try to force their attention, the more power you hand over to them. Imagine holding a handful of sand. If you grip it tightly, the sand slips through your fingers. But if you hold your hand gently, what belongs there naturally remains. Relationships often work the same way. Desperation pushes people away, while quiet confidence creates space for genuine connection. This doesn't mean becoming cold or pretending you don't care. It means accepting a difficult truth. Not everyone is meant to stay in your life forever. Some people are lessons, not lifelong companions. Their departure doesn't reduce your value. It simply reveals who truly belongs on your journey. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should never allow another person's actions to dictate our own character. If someone chooses to ignore you, let them. If they choose to leave, let them. Your responsibility is not to chase people who no longer appreciate you. Your responsibility is to continue becoming the best version of yourself. The moment you stop running after those who ignore you, you begin walking toward a life that no longer depends on anyone else's attention. And that is where real freedom begins. One of the greatest illusions in modern life is believing that attention equals value. If someone replies quickly, we feel important. If they forget our birthday, leave our message on read, or seem distant, we begin to question our worth. But the Stoics would ask a simple question. Why should your value depend on someone else's behavior? Imagine a diamond hidden beneath the earth. For years, no one sees it. No one admires it. No one praises it. Yet its value never changes. It remains precious whether the world recognizes it or not. Human character works the same way. Your honesty, kindness, discipline, and integrity don't become more valuable because someone notices them. They are valuable because they are part of who you are. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that other people's opinions belong to them, not to you. You cannot control who appreciates your efforts, who misunderstands your intentions, or who chooses to overlook your presence. What you can control is whether you continue living according to your principles. Think about how much emotional energy is wasted trying to be noticed. People change their personalities to fit in. They seek approval by saying yes to everything. They hide their true thoughts to avoid rejection. Slowly, they lose themselves while trying to win the attention of others. The Stoic path is different. It teaches you to build a life where your self-respect comes from your actions, not from applause. The day you stop measuring your worth by how much attention you receive is the day no one can make you feel invisible again. Because your confidence is no longer borrowed from others. It is created from within. Silence has a strange way of revealing the truth. When people stop calling, texting, or checking on you, you begin to see relationships more clearly. You discover who genuinely cares and who was only present when it was convenient. At first, this realization can be painful, but the Stoics believe that truth, even when uncomfortable, is always better than illusion. Seneca wrote that adversity reveals character. In the same way, distance reveals loyalty. Someone ignoring you is not always a sign that you are unworthy. Sometimes, it is simply life showing you where not to invest your energy anymore. Instead of asking, "Why are they ignoring me?" ask yourself a better question. What is this situation trying to teach me? Perhaps it is teaching you to become emotionally independent. Perhaps it is showing you that your happiness has become too dependent on one person's attention. Or perhaps it is creating space for healthier relationships to enter your life. Think of an eagle flying high above a storm. It doesn't waste energy fighting every gust of wind. Instead, it uses the wind to rise even higher. You can do the same. Every moment of rejection can become fuel for growth. Every unanswered message can become another hour invested in your goals. Every disappointment can become another lesson in resilience. The people who ignore you may never realize the strength they helped you build. But one day, you'll look back and realize that their silence pushed you toward becoming a calmer, wiser, and stronger version of yourself. The Stoics believe that every obstacle carries the seed of an opportunity. Being ignored is no exception. It can either become the reason you lose yourself or the reason you finally discover who you truly are. One of the hardest things to accept is that not every story gets a satisfying ending. Sometimes people leave without an explanation. Sometimes friendships fade without a fight. Sometimes someone who once promised to stay simply disappears from your life. Most people spend months, or even years, searching for closure. They replay old conversations, imagine different outcomes, and hope for one final message that will finally make everything make sense. But the Stoics believe that this endless search often creates more suffering than the event itself. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that life rarely unfolds according to our expectations. The more we resist reality, the more we suffer. Peace begins the moment we stop demanding answers that may never come. Imagine reading a book where one chapter ends abruptly. You could spend the rest of your life staring at that unfinished page. Or you could turn the page and continue reading the story. Many people remain emotionally trapped because they refuse to turn the page. Closure does not always come from another person. More often, it comes from a decision you make within yourself. The decision to accept what happened, to forgive without receiving an apology, and to move forward without waiting for permission. This doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means refusing to let the past control your future. The strongest people understand that protecting their peace is more valuable than winning another conversation. Sometimes, silence is the closure you've been looking for. When someone ignores you, it's easy to make them the center of your thoughts. You check your phone repeatedly. You wonder what they're doing. You imagine what you could have said differently. Without realizing it, your life begins revolving around someone who isn't even present. The Stoics would call this a dangerous mistake. Epictetus taught that your happiness should never depend on something outside your control. If your emotional well-being depends on another person's attention, then you have given away your freedom. Instead, build a life that excites you. Learn new skills. Read books that expand your mind. Take care of your health. Pursue meaningful work. Spend time with people who appreciate your presence instead of merely tolerating it. Think of the sun. It rises every morning, shining with the same brilliance whether people admire it or ignore it. It doesn't stop giving light because someone forgot to look at the sky. Your purpose should be the same. The more meaningful your life becomes, the less power other people's absence has over your emotions. One day, you'll realize something incredible. The people who ignored You are no longer occupying your mind because your life has become too full of purpose to leave room for unnecessary pain. This is one of the greatest victories in Stoicism, not making someone regret losing you, but reaching a point where you no longer need them to. When your purpose becomes stronger than your loneliness, you stop chasing people and start chasing excellence. And excellence has a remarkable way of attracting the right people into your life. One of the greatest mistakes people make after being ignored is trying to prove their worth. They post for attention. They show off their success. They hope the person who overlooked them will finally notice what they lost. The Stoics believe this only keeps you emotionally tied to the very person you're trying to move beyond. Seneca warned that the desire to impress others quietly steals your freedom. As long as your actions are designed to get someone's attention, you are still living for them, not for yourself. Instead, let your growth become your response. Imagine planting a seed deep beneath the soil. For weeks, nothing appears on the surface. No one applauds. No one notices. Yet beneath the ground, the roots are growing stronger every single day. Then one morning, a tree begins to emerge. Real personal growth works the same way. You don't need to announce your discipline. You don't need to tell the world you're healing. You don't need to prove that you're becoming stronger. Keep reading. Keep learning. Keep working. Keep improving. In time, your life will speak more loudly than any explanation ever could. Marcus Aurelius never spent his energy trying to convince people he was a great leader. He focused on becoming one. That is the Stoic way. Your character is your greatest statement. One day, those who ignored you may notice how much you've changed. But by then, something even more important will have happened. You will no longer need their attention. The final lesson is the heart of Stoicism. When someone ignores you and you immediately lose your peace, they unknowingly gain power over your emotions. They don't need to insult you or argue with you. Your dependence on their attention does all the work. The Stoics believe that true freedom begins when no one else has that power. Picture a lighthouse standing on a rocky shore during a violent storm. Massive waves crash against it. Fierce winds try to shake it. Yet the lighthouse remains exactly where it was built, continuing to shine its light. Your mind can become like that lighthouse. Life will bring rejection. People will misunderstand you. Some relationships will end without warning. Some people will never recognize your value. But none of those events can destroy your inner peace unless you allow them to. Epictetus taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about those events. The moment you stop seeing rejection as proof that you're not enough, it loses its power over you. Instead of asking, "Why don't they see my value?" ask, "Am I living according to my values?" That single question changes everything. Because when your confidence comes from your own character, rather than another person's approval, you become emotionally unshakable. You stop reacting to every disappointment. You stop chasing people who don't appreciate you. And you begin attracting relationships built on mutual respect instead of emotional dependence. This is what the Stoics meant by inner freedom. Not a life without pain, but a life where pain no longer controls your decisions. And once you reach that point, being ignored is no longer a wound. It becomes a reminder that your peace was never supposed to depend on anyone else's attention. As we reach the end of this journey, remember one powerful truth. Being ignored does not make you invisible, it reveals where you have been looking for your value. For too long, many of us have measured our worth by who texts back, who remembers us, who praises us, or who chooses to stay. But the Stoics spent their lives teaching the exact opposite. They understood that a peaceful life can never be built on something as unpredictable as another person's attention. Think back to the lessons you've learned today. When people walk away, don't chase them. When they ignore you, don't question your worth. When silence enters your life, use it to discover your own strength. Protect your peace instead of demanding closure. Build a life so meaningful that no one person's absence can define it. Let your growth speak louder than your pain. And above all, become emotionally free because the person who controls your emotions controls your life. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that every day he would meet people who were selfish, ungrateful, arrogant, and unkind. Yet he refused to let their behavior determine his own. That is the essence of Stoicism. You cannot choose how others treat you, but you can always choose how you respond. Imagine yourself 1 year from today. In one future you are still waiting for someone who never came back. You still replay old conversations. You still wonder why they ignored you. In the other future, you've invested in yourself. You've become calmer, wiser, healthier, stronger, and more confident. Your purpose has become so meaningful that the people who once ignored, you are no longer the center of your thoughts. Which future begins today? The answer isn't found in another message, another apology, or another chance. It's found in the decision you make right now. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose your purpose. Because one day, you'll realize that the people who ignored you didn't stop your journey. They redirected it toward the person you were always meant to become. If this message resonated with you, I want you to do something simple. Write one word in the comments. Peace. Not for the algorithm, but as a promise to yourself that from this day forward, you will stop chasing attention and start protecting your inner peace. If you found value in this video, subscribe for more timeless wisdom from Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. Every week, we explore practical Stoic lessons that help you build emotional resilience, mental clarity, and unshakable character. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And always remember, the moment you stop chasing people is the moment you begin finding yourself. Stay strong. Stay calm. Live with wisdom. Until next time.